Welcome to Seacoast Stories, a podcast about the people, businesses, and newsmakers that make the Seacoast an American hidden gem. I'm Trey Farkas, and on today's episode, another conversation with Rae and Ryan Lamberts, two Seacoast tech entrepreneurs and my partners in Seacoast Stories Dinner Club. Today marks Ryan's record-extending fourth appearance on the show and Rae's third. We met this time last year when Rae and Ryan overheard me talking tech in a separate meeting at White Heron. Shortly after, they came on this podcast where they told me the incredible story of how they met in Portsmouth 20 years ago, why they moved to Silicon Valley to join the tech craze of the early 2010s, the famous folks they brushed shoulders with, and a meetup app called River that they co-founded with the help of $1.6 million in investment capital. I loved that conversation so much that I invited Rae and Ryan to be my first guests at Seacoast Stories Live this past January, and then Ryan recently joined our popular, yet kind of controversial episode about modern masculinity. I keep inviting them back, one, because they're dear friends and I genuinely love them, and two, they just keep doing all this cool stuff. Despite the widespread usage of the River app, which powered meetups for very famous voices in the personal development world, such as Tim Ferriss and Brian Johnson, Rae and Ryan have recently pivoted to an app called DNNR, or Dinner. The aim of Dinner is very simple: to connect like-minded strangers together over dinner in their local communities. Started only 4 months ago, Dinner is already making bigger splashes than River ever did. For example, in Greenville, South Carolina, a creator just used Dinner to get 200 plus strangers together on one particular late summer evening. There's also groups getting together in Los Angeles, San Francisco, and even right here on the Seacoast. In fact, Seacoast Stories was the first client of Dinner, and many of you listening have attended one of our Seacoast Stories Dinner Clubs in Portsmouth, Dover, or Kittery. 3 of you have even attended all 3 of them, so shout out to Molly, Corinne, and Taylor. We'll talk about the inner workings of Seacoast Stories Dinner Club later in the show, but here's the big picture reason why I love working with Rae and Ryan so much. We all come from the digital world. We've lived that digital nomad life. Before coming to Portsmouth, they lived in Miami, New York City, Austin, and even Portugal, whereas I lived in Denver, Honolulu, and London before I stumbled upon Portsmouth. And as much as we enjoyed those lifestyles, something was always missing for us: community. And not the community you find in Discord channels and WhatsApp groups, but like actual face-to-face community. And now, the 3 of us are each on a mission to use technology as a means to get people together in real life, or IRL, as the kids say. Rae and Ryan through an app, and me through this podcast and social media. And we all believe that, as the national discourse grows more polarizing, hate-filled, and honestly exhausting, that people will begin to care more about their local communities like they once did. You know, the people and places down the street, not the things happening in other parts of the country. That's the belief driving both Dinner and Seacoast Stories. And I'm so excited to welcome Rae and Ryan on today's episode, where we'll discuss their pivot to Dinner, how Seacoast Stories Dinner Club actually works and why you should come, Portsmouth's booming tech scene, and why Rae and Ryan are convinced that Dinner will become a billion-dollar company. Yeah, that's with a B. Today's podcast is presented by Holistic and Hormonal and Jenn Bakos Photography. If you'd like to support this show, by the way, you can do so by leaving a review of Seacoast Stories on Apple Podcasts or by submitting a rating on Spotify. Thank you for that in advance. Now here's Rae and Ryan with the story of Dinner.
So Ryan and I have been in startups for a long time. Right before we moved to Portsmouth, we were living in Miami, and we raised some venture capital from Jason Calacanis, who's extremely one of the most prolific angel investors. And we were building a meetup platform, a little bit like meetup.com, but we would work with really big influencers, pretty big tech celebrities like Tim Ferriss or the All In podcast or Brian Johnson, the weirdo who doesn't want to die. And we would basically do crowdsourced meetups where their fans would kind of raise their hand and say, I'll host a meetup. And the creator would announce it and kind of put a lot of weight behind it. Tons of meetups would happen. So the app, like, it totally worked. Tim Ferriss, used us for his 10th anniversary of his podcast. 154 cities met up all simultaneously in one day. Brian Johnson launched his Don't Die mission around the world, 110 simultaneous meetups in one day. Like, definitely working. Had like over almost 200,000 users. Events were definitely happening. Like, it was working. The product itself was working, but the business model was not. So despite having these huge celebrities, you get people like the Free Press or Tim Ferriss, and you think, oh my God, I've made it. But then the revenue just wasn't growing. Tons of false positives, like tons of getting your hopes up and thinking, okay, now we've cracked it. And just being honest, and like 2 years of throat punches basically, and looking at the money, and you're like, okay, we're still, we've had we have a huge user base and we have these huge customers, but like people aren't paying for this. So we've got to figure something else out. We were kind of looking in the market and seeing there was a lot of dinner clubs being launched.
Actually, wait, let me stop you. What was the business model?
Okay, so the business model was Tim Ferriss would pay us. In the case of Tim Ferriss, he paid $7,500, which felt like a lot of money at the time, to power all of his meetups on one day. So basically we would create the events, he would announce it, people would apply to host, we'd approve them, the meetups would happen. So the creator would pay us, and it was kind of a form of engagement. And so we were charging about $500 a month per creator, but turns out like there was always this decay function where the meetups would start off really, really strong, but then they would just kind of come down in the energy and the attendance. The energy would always decay. And then because it wasn't a revenue line for them, it was kind of a cost. And it was really about engagement. They would kind of stop promoting it. And it wasn't, it was decreasing, not increasing. So it would always start really strong, and then it couldn't keep working there. And we tried some sponsorship things, but that's a ton of work. And yeah, just the business model, revenue not quite growing despite huge names and big user base.
Right. Ryan, Rae used the term throat punches that you've been taking for the past 2 years. What were these throat punches you were taking?
Yeah, the decay function that you just mentioned is pretty much like after the first 3 or 4 engagements, we're like, okay, yeah, that's a real phenomenon. And every customer after that, it was like, just let's see if we can figure out how to not get this to decay. And we never figured it out. And the throat punches are because anybody who's at a venture-backed seed stage company understands you have 2 years of runway. You're trying to get the plane to just get off the ground at all. And it is just literally throat punches until that happens.
Yeah.
Because you try something and it doesn't work. You try something else and you get really excited and the whole team gets excited and you're like, it's going to work. And then it doesn't. And you just do that repeatedly.
Yeah. A lot of false hope or Web3 DDoS type of attack. And now we have to drop everything to make sure that we're keeping all these bots off of our platform. Or even the fundraising process is really painful. That could be a whole podcast in of itself of how do you get people to send you $1.7 million and you think you've closed it. And then it turns out that your bank doesn't accept euros. And now there's $450,000 that's just missing and no one knows where it is. And you have to drop everything and try to figure out where this $450,000 went. And it's just constant problems. Anyone who's a business owner knows this, a restaurant owner, a brick and mortar business, a startup founder, they just know that you're just constantly shoveling shit against the tide and just fixing problems and trying not to let them roll downhill to your employees and to your staff. But yeah, it's just constant problems to solve. And if the revenue is growing then and your traction is there, then you're hey, great, I can solve these problems. But if there's kind of the low hope factor also on top of all the problems, it just wears you out, wears you down.
I think we didn't realize we bit off more than we could chew, but also I think it was also just poor founder market fit for the meetups.
Also, there's this term in startups called a tar pit. And a tar pit is when you're in a desert and you there's an optical illusion that you think you see an oasis, but then you get there and it's it wasn't real. A tar pit is there's certain categories of businesses that everyone wants to exist. Everyone loves the idea of it. People will tell you over and over, this is wonderful. I love it. This has to happen. We need more of this. I'm even getting this now that we've pivoted. I'm still getting this about the meetup. So everyone wants them to exist, but then the actual mechanism of like purchasing behavior doesn't work out. And I think that River, the meetup version of River, is like one of these famed tar pits of like, everyone loves the idea of it, but you can't make a business out of it.
Right. That's something like Joe Kelly was saying at our live podcast this past summer. There's all these businesses in downtown Portsmouth that used to exist that, oh my God, I would love to have a roller skating rink in downtown Portsmouth. That would be
tar
so
pit.
Cool. And then you don't go when it's there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You don't pay the bills.
The market has spoken.
The market has spoken. And then just kind of on the emotional toll, I would say being a business owner is already really hard. And then we are co-founders. So it's like, when we used to work at separate companies or separate startups, it's like, well, I'm having a bad day, but he's having a good day. Or like my first business that I started was a marketing agency. Okay, that's, not doing well right now, but he has a full-time job and he has like steady income or our health insurance. But now, we're both in the same boat together. And we do have a third co-founder in Poland, but it's like the lows are low because it's like both of your livelihoods, both of your incomes, like your whole household income is basically zero. We took zero paycheck for the first 12 months of River, and then a very tiny paycheck compared to how expensive it is to live in Portsmouth right now in this second year. So yeah, sometimes you're like, why are we doing it?
Yeah. As a married couple and as co-founders and co-workers, how do you get through those low lows, Ryan?
Schedule your arguments. Like, don't bring them up right when you're about to go to sleep. Unless it's like a good one. But even then, maybe don't, because then you're not going to sleep. Prioritizing sleep, like not ruining each other's sleep, not bringing up stuff like late at night. That's a big one.
Really taking care of your body, like going to the gym no matter what, like trying to be as physically fit. Having times where you can, sometimes it's would be a great time to bring up, hey, like, how are we going to tackle this thing? But like one of us is just out of spoons and it's like, hey, I actually need a break right now. And then really respecting taking a break from talking about it. And then I would say having other things to do outside of work or outside of your startup, which can be all encompassing. But like we dance locally here in Portsmouth in a Latin dance team. It is extremely physically rigorous. It's extremely fun. It's extremely social. And none of these people, they all care about us and they're excited for our business, but they're not like in tech. They don't care about like this or that specific thing. And so you can kind of just like go and like shed that part of your identity for a little while. And it's so physically rigorous that like you can't even think about work anyway. So you just have to like show up and lock in. So I think trying to have a little bit other things going on in your life.
So you guys have ultimately pivoted to dinner. What was the point where you realized that, all right, we need to think about doing something else? Because this is something that you've raised lots of money for, you've put so much time into, what do we call it? The sunk cost fallacy.
Yeah, the sunk cost fallacy.
Right. So at what point?
Oh, well, I was like married to this other idea for so much longer. And Ryan was like, this is not working. And I was like, yes, it is. We just have to try harder. So I would say we had the idea cooking for quite a while. But I was like, no, we said we were going to do this. And yeah, Ryan was correct. You were right, honey. We should have pivoted sooner.
That's so dumb. That's not, I don't think that's accurate. I think what happened was when you're building something, you're going to feel this temptation, in my opinion. We felt it. You're going to feel this temptation like it's just not good enough. So I just need to make it better. When in reality, it's like you should think of it as there's a bunch of arms and I'm pulling on them, trying them. And this one hasn't given me a reward yet. So I just need to pull harder. It's like, no, explore a bit more, try other things. Somebody threw this thing, DM'd me one day. They're like, hey, did you see all these dinner clubs? And I was like, oh, we should do that. Like we have all of the skill sets on our team to solve that problem, send people out to dinner. But then you have to create your own
so the engineers were like, look at these dinner clubs. We can make this in like 3 weeks. And I was like, yeah, product wise, looks pretty simple. But these dinner clubs have, 1 million plus Instagram followers that they've built up organically over the years. Even though I'm a world-class marketer, cannot get us to 1 million Instagram followers. The product isn't the problem. The reach is the problem. Getting the audience like, yeah, we'll build this dinner club app, but who are we going to tell to come to dinner, And that is kind of me holding up my white flag there and being like, I can't create that. Then we were like, oh, we should white label it.
Well, 3 or 4 months later, we had a customer on the hook. And then they were like, for the old thing, for meetups. And they were like, So then we were like, what if we white label it? And we white labeled it for them. And they were like, oh yeah.
White labeling meaning branding it so it looks like yours. It looks like you built it. It's a homegrown thing, but it's a Toyota on the front and it's like a
Rolls-Royce engine inside.
Yeah, the engine is powering, but it's the colors, the fonts, the wording, the pictures. It all looks like your brand.
Shopify is a perfect example.
Yeah.
Like you can create a Shopify store and it doesn't say Shopify on it because it's your store.
Yeah, anytime anyone's shopping online, they're shopping from a Shopify store.
It's not about the brand. It's about the person using the brand.
Yes.
So then it dawned on us that, and by the way, this is in the old product, which we know we didn't want to keep doing, but we learned something. And that was like people that have a brand or a presence really want their brand to be the thing. They don't want to be like, hey, go over to this other platform. So then we were like,
of course,
that's what it is.
Perfect sense.
So anyways, back to the dinners. So the initial thing of like, we could just send people out to dinner and make money that way. Plus white labeling, plus let's not generate our own distribution, our own media. People are already doing that. And people want their fans to already get together. We know that's true from the meetups. Like the Tims and the Brian, they were like, they want to get their people together. And so it was just like, yeah, this makes a lot of sense. Dinner clubs for you, like you make your own dinner club for your audience. Seacoast Stories Dinner Club.
So these dinner clubs that you were observing, you got this DM, hey, these dinner clubs are happening. What was happening at these dinner clubs?
First place they see it is an ad or something on Instagram. And they're like, whoa, I get to go to dinner with 5 other people I've never met before. That sounds interesting. They go through, they click book a seat, they fill out a questionnaire that gets your personality. Then they pay $16. And then their thing pairs you up with 5 other people and sends you out to dinner.
But it's completely random people. Like, There's no touchstone of what's going to bring these people together. So like in your case, when we white label it for you, everyone follows your pod or cares about the types of things you care about. And so it's almost like more powerful because it isn't just like a random sampling of people willing to meet for dinner. It's like people willing to meet for dinner who also care about this podcast or who also care about this topic.
Right. In these other dinner clubs you had observed prior to starting the dinner app, this was really big in cities. So in your Bostons, your Nashvilles, your New Yorks, your Dallases. So we're just random people. It's almost like a dating app, but just friends,
Every
random
app
people.
is a dating app, basically. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
People are just getting matched up for dinner, but there's no common bonds. They take the personality test and maybe you find some common bonds there, but it's not around one central, we care about this team, we care about this organization, etc.
Yeah. And I have this kind of little analogy that I learned recently, and maybe it's useful to other business owners or people who are kind of thinking about the value they provide in the world. And it's just like a little tangent, but I was reading about this dog adoption place, and they had too many dogs, and they're just like, how do we get more people to adopt dogs? And then it was when Pokemon Go came out, and they realized there's all these people walking around looking for these Pokemon things. I don't know how this thing works. And they're like, they just made a post and like, hey, you guys look stupid just walking around with no dog. Why don't you rent a dog for $5 and then you can go look for your Pokemon Go things, and you won't look like you're looking for Pokemons. You'll just be out walking a dog.
Might be a girl too.
And so then people would start renting a dog for $5, take it for a walk, do their Pokemon Go thing. And then people were like, well, I wasn't going to adopt a dog, but me and this dog are friends now, and I'm not bringing him back. So then they ran out of dogs. And then what happened is because so then more dogs.
They were making money too.
Yeah,
don't forget.
People were paying the $5 rental, like rent a dog fee. So then they started waiving adoption fees. So now they have no dogs in the shelter. And now other shelters from other places are sending their dogs here. And what's so fascinating is, have no control over the product, which is the dog. Like, it's a dog to adopt. It's a loose dog. You have no control over its behavior, what kind of breed it is. Like, you're just getting it. But the mechanism of the behavior has changed. And so we were basically like thinking about this dog adoption mechanism. And it's like, what about our product that's not working? It's like, okay, we need a volunteer host to host the meetup. The host has to find a free venue. It's a free meetup, so tons of people register, but they don't all show up.
Old product again.
Our old product. And then no one wants to be the first person to show up to a networking event, so everyone shows up late. And okay, no one's paying for this. This is an engagement tool, not a monetization tool. So now the creator isn't announcing it. And it's like, what are the mechanisms that we can change to make this thing, which is getting together in person, building connection, building community that we care about. How can we change the mechanism to make it work? And it turns out that the pivot into dinner, which is in a lot of ways very similar. The still core ethos is like build community in person for your audience. But now it's you don't need a host at all. No one needs to volunteer. No, we don't need to find a free venue because we're sending them to dinner. Everyone shows up because they pay. No one's going to like ghost it because they paid and they have skin in the game. Everyone knows it's a dinner reservation. You're not supposed to be late for those, so they all show up on time. And because they have something in common with you, the creator, and the personality quiz, they actually have a really freaking magical experience because they all just showed up on time. So it's like literally the product's the same, but just the mechanism is different. And now we don't have any dogs in this dog shelter.
That's brilliant. That is such a brilliant way. And everyone that I've seen you talk to dinner about responds with, this is such a good idea. This is so brilliant.
Yeah, we went from, I don't get it, who pays for it, how does it work, to like, is my community big enough to do it?
Yeah.
Like we launched, so we very soft launched. Well, we should talk about how you are our first customer.
Yeah, so you make the pivot, River to dinner, for all the reasons that you just mentioned. When did you really start building it?
I think about 3 months ago, roughly. Yeah. 3 months.
So our first dinner was
3 months ago.
Was 3 months ago.
3 months and 2 weeks ago.
4 months ago. 4 months ago.
Did not take you long to build the technology to make this happen. I mean, you already had a lot of it in place.
Well, the MVP. Okay, so I mean, anybody that went to the first one, there was quite a few hiccups.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you, Troy. Thank you, everybody who's listening who went to one. Yeah.
I mean, Ryan was manually text messaging everyone. It wasn't automated.
That was the alpha.
Okay.
So actually the alpha, this is something.
What's the alpha?
I got to tell this story. The very first thing we ever did was we just grabbed a random sample from our email list. And we said, hey, do you want to go out to dinner with 5 people? And then she's
in Boston.
And we just, all of it, we didn't build anything. We're just literally going to see if this works.
We learned our lesson.
And so
stop building stuff.
We sent them out to dinner. We went.
I went to one table. Ryan went to the other table.
And she's right. All the SMSs, all the emails, they were sent manually. And I could not believe, like, with zero pretense, one guy was like, this is the best thing I've ever been to in my life. And I was like, well, that's ridiculous.
You should get out more.
But I mean, yeah, so that was the actual true MVP. And then we were like, definitely we need to build something. We're going to white label it for people like Seacoast Stories and such. But that was like, how can we test this right now with like as little as possible?
And how can we test this so we don't embarrass Troy? Because we knew we wanted you to be our first customer.
Why?
Well, we like you a lot and we live here. And there's something so powerful about getting to help someone you care about go to the actual dinner club and like see your product in action. Cause it's like, you get the feedback from Greenville, South Carolina, but like you're not there, so it's really a lot is missed in translation. So we get to go, we get to help you build your business and turn this into a livelihood because what you're doing is really important. And like when we go to the dinner, we get to meet people and we like love who we get to meet. So it's just like literally freaking perfect in every single way. But we didn't want to embarrass you. So we're like, let's try it on this like random sample of people first so that we know.
Plus when you go to it, I mean, the simple, like if your hand is in the fire, then you pull your hand out of the fire and you fix whatever's making burning your hand right then. So to me, it's like you need to be, as a founder, you got to be in the weeds. You got to see Troy saying, hey, that thing sucks, or I really like that thing yourself, so that you actually want to change whatever the thing is. Yeah, like if someone
cancels, for example, and now 2 people cancel, and now the dinner went from 6 to 4. When someone tells you that over email, you're like, okay, when I show up with you to the table, and there's just like the energy is not quite right.
Oh, it's so sad.
It hurts so bad.
Yeah. And it should.
And it should. Yeah. So getting to help you build your community, see it up close, see our product, how it's actually working, like brass tacks, because when people are like, oh, it's great. Like that's warms my heart. Nothing we can do about that.
Right.
Like you can't fix things unless you're there and you know what's wrong.
Yeah. And I think what's been really cool about it is you guys are tech nerds. You have one side of the brain that works. I'm not a tech nerd. I'm on the other side of the brain. So I think when we talk about potential problems and improvements and troubleshooting, there's things that I see that are glaring, oh, this needs to exist that you guys maybe wouldn't have seen, and vice versa, which I think is really cool for improving the app.
Just selfishly, it's perfect in every way to have you as our first customer.
Amazing.
And people are shocked. Like, I went to the dinner last month, the Kittery one, and I was really trying to be incognito and just kind of be a fly on the wall and just like let the night unfold. And people were like, "You're Rae, you made this happen." I was like,
You like it. Come on.
No, I do. But I was like, I don't know if people realize that like how much technology is, how many startups there are in Portsmouth, or how much technology is being built like right here.
There's way more than you realize.
It's like, no, you guys are like the OG users.
Yeah.
Like when this thing like, I hope like really blows up, it's like literally started right here in Portsmouth.
Coming up, we take you behind the scenes of Dinner Club. Plus, why Rae and Ryan think dinner can be a $1 billion business. That's next. But ladies, the word on the street is that your hormones really matter. The problem is, I'm told, is that it's difficult to detect when they're out of whack. It's like you know something is wrong, but you can't put your finger on it. And that just may be why you, or the woman in your life, could be experiencing issues like fertility struggles, mood swings, weight challenges, stress, and more. That's why it's so important to learn more about functional medicine. That's where Dr. Whitney Elsesser comes in. She specializes in hormone health, fertility, and functional medicine. And at her business, Holistic and Hormonal, she offers personalized programs which combine holistic lifestyle interventions with in-depth lab testing to get to the root of the issue, rather than just treat them with a pill and hope they go away. Whitney is passionate about helping women feel more confident and vibrant when it comes to their health. Some of her top virtual programs include the 5 to Thrive 5-month hormone reset program, the Conceive with Clarity program, as well as Hormones and Heartbeats. If any of these programs speak to you, or if you'd like to learn more about addressing hormone imbalance, then please visit holisticandhormonal.org, and in the contact box, just write the word hormones, and then Whitney will get in touch with you to set up a free lab test, which can really help you figure out what is going on. The website link is also in today's show notes. Another Seacoast woman supporting our show today is the newly married Jennifer Bakos. Congrats, Jenn. Jenn is a New Hampshire-based photographer with over 15 years of experience. She specializes in food, product, and lifestyle photography, which is perfect if you're, say, an Exeter restaurant owner, Portsmouth coffee shop owner, a Dover flower farmer, a Seacoast podcaster, or any other small business owner on the Seacoast who is doing things the right way. Jenn is approachable, natural, polished, talented, and of course, very professional. She returns everything to her clients in a timely fashion, is very easy to work with, she's very chill and easygoing, and she prioritizes clients' care above all else. Jenn makes the whole process simple and fun, and she's kindly offering 10% off your first photography session when you just send her a DM. Now, the catch is that this is just for small business owners only. Again, to take advantage of the offer, just shoot Jenn a DM at Jenn Bakos Photo on Instagram and tell her you're a Seacoast Stories listener. That's JENNBAKOS Photo on Instagram. Thank you, Jenn, and thank you, Whitney, for supporting the show. Now here's Ryan again to talk about what the experience for a dinner user is like beginning to end, using Seacoast Stories as the example.
Yeah, you'll probably hear about it from Troy on Instagram or in his podcast. You'll go to the website, seacoaststories.dnnr.io, or you'll click on the link. You book a seat, you fill out the questionnaire. By the way, the first time you fill out the questionnaire, you won't have to fill it out again. So it's just the first time. You fill out the questionnaire, and then you'll get a confirmation email.
We tell you you're in for dinner, but we don't tell you where you're going.
Right.
Because we don't know where you're going. Like,
That's
we can't
true.
tell you.
Right.
That's true,
You just
but
know
it's
the
also
town.
Yeah, you know the neighborhood vicinity, but we don't know what restaurant you're going to yet because all the tickets and all the seats haven't been come through. And
That's true. That's also a good thing, I think, because I think something that's missing today is people think they want to make choices, but they don't want to make choices. So yeah, we don't reveal it. We keep you warm, like reminding you, and just people need to be nudged.
With text, emails.
Yeah, I need to be
your
nudged.
dinner's in
Everybody
2
needs
weeks. Hey, your
reminders.
dinner's in 1 week.
And then we do finally let you know where the restaurant is the morning of, 9 a.m.
We send you an email and a text message.
And then you go to dinner
We tell you
that
what
night.
table, like to ask for, you're going to be at Tulsi, reservation under the name Pine.
So you would walk in, you'd say, "Hi, I'm here for the Pine dinner reservation." They would send you to your table and you'd meet your gang. You'll hang out and chat. If you get a little nervous about like, I don't know what to talk about, you can just open that email and click into your little dinner dashboard. And there's icebreakers down there at the bottom. If you don't like the icebreakers, you can click a button and get better ones.
I don't see people needing them though. Like
it doesn't really get
people are
used.
very excited to meet other people. And oftentimes people have a lot in common. So like the Martingale's Wharf dinner at the first dinner we did, that was like the high end bougie table.
Right.
5 out of the 6 people all went to Flight and they had never met.
Yeah.
It's insane. Or it's like, I was at Tulsi at the last month's dinner and like 3 out of the 6 people, I had like a second degree connection.
Exactly.
We know all the same people. We just don't know each other.
Right. It is, technically we are sending you out with strangers for the most part, or doing our best to send you out to dinner with strangers. But the reality is Seacoast is small. You're always one person removed from knowing someone.
And Mel Carpel, hi Mel, her and I we go to F45 together and we always click, but we just hadn't been able to make plans outside. Like she works in tech sales. I've got a startup. Like she travels a lot. I travel. It just never happened. But we were so thrilled to see each other at dinner because we always hit it off. And then we got to go to the after party bar after. So it's you're meeting strangers, but you definitely have something in common. And the other thing is compared to just bumping into someone at a bar, for example, everyone there is there to meet people. Everyone comes with an open mind, excited to meet other people, as opposed to someone who, I don't know, maybe they're in the middle of they just got their divorce papers today and they just went to drink a whiskey by themselves. They're not necessarily interested in meeting other people.
Yeah.
Or there's someone next to you, but he's waiting for his date. So you thought maybe he was available to chat and now he's not, But at the dinner, everyone is there for the sole purpose of meeting other people. And it just creates a truly magical experience.
Something that's been really interesting for me to observe, I believe one of the questions on the quiz is, what is your intention? Why are you here? Is it to date? Is it to network professionally? Is it to make friends? Overwhelmingly, it's been make friends, right?
Yeah.
Does that surprise you at all?
I think, it's make friends and dating as the second
But big
common
gap
one.
between the two.
Huge gap. Yeah. Yeah. People want to make friends. And I've also heard of a lot of married couples who they want to make friends because they have her friends and they have his friends, but they don't have friends that they made together. Or sometimes people just moved to town and they're just well, just throw me in the fire, see what happens,
Right. So this brings up something that has come up a few times. We've had married couples or couples who have been together for a while will DM me and say, "Hey, can you make sure me and my husband can sit together?" My head, the point of this is to get out of your comfort zone and to not have that security blanket next to you. How do you guys feel about that?
The opposite. We had a married couple that randomly got matched together.
Yeah, which you would hope they would get matched together.
And then they were I know, we're hey, it works. But then they messaged us and were hey, we want to meet new people. Can you separate us?
Yeah.
So it's literally, who knows? It's hard to know what everyone wants.
And if you invite somebody, we intended for them to actually get paired together. So if you do invite somebody, they will be at your table.
Yeah. So you both have attended dinners just as, not as founders, just as we want to participate in this thing. Rae, you most recently were, as you mentioned, part of the Tulsi group in our Kittery Foresight takeover. Describe your experience for me.
Yeah. So it was really fun to just kind of show up and be just to be looking forward to being pleasantly surprised with who I'm going to meet. And, Portsmouth in general is just I think there's an impressive community here. I think more diversity, more kind of business owners than you initially expect. And so I met people who are pretty high up in the Gather organization, which is the...
Shout out to Maura.
Yes. Okay. Maura was at my dinner.
Yes, we love Maura.
So was Maura. But then another woman is a volunteer at Gather. So we kind of got to learn what's going on at Gather with the food bank and all the salvaging all this food waste. So that was really interesting. Yeah. Everyone was just very deeply, I wouldn't say concerned, invested in Portsmouth and what's going on in the Seacoast area. Everyone wants the best for it. And and I would say completely different than online Discord of people, fighting in the comments of Seacoast Online Facebook group or whatever. People are just so much more human. Like we were talking about how that little alley by La Carreta, like downtown, like there's like the sewer collapse, and now like the outdoor dining closed earlier than we were in the season than we were expecting. And it's like the Discord was so much more productive than it would be online because we're all looking each other in the face and like being human. So it was really great to just meet people who are invested in Portsmouth and care about the local community, but aren't necessarily who I would bump shoulders with in my normal like tech circle or my Latin dance circle. And then people of all ages, I don't necessarily want to just meet people my age. I want to meet people older, younger. So I thought it was like a well-matched, well-balanced group, which, I would be honest with ourselves if I didn't think it was.
Yeah. The point of this really is not just to be another networking thing, right? I feel like the people that I've observed so far have done a really good job of understanding what this is about, of leaning into it, and being willing to get a little bit uncomfortable. I remember our first group in Portsmouth, the first night we did this, we had a group at Dwyer's that when I ran into them at the Wilder afterwards, they were like, oh, we got in there. we were talking about some real deep shit. And I love that.
Yeah.
And I know our second dinner club in Dover, we had a lovely group at Stock who were an hour late to the bar because they were just drinks, desserts, let's get another round, having the time of their lives. One group was hyper fixated on trying to find the right man for this single woman at their table.
Hell
and it was just amazing.
Get in there.
Those kinds of dynamics have been happening at the dinner clubs. And it's just so heartwarming to see as someone, both of us have worked in the virtual world. The comment sections aren't great. People will say whatever they want to you and just so little IRL happening, and just to see it unfold in real time in this way has been so heartwarming.
I think people forget that we're humans and breaking bread together is extremely elemental and human. And I think people come with a little anxiety and then they get there and they're like, oh yeah, humans have been eating together for thousands of years. Actually, you're pretty good at it, And another thing that's when I've been going around the tables with you and people are like, oh, where's the after party bar? Because it's a secret and it gets revealed. And we're like, oh, well, it's after 8. So you would have gotten a text message by now. And everyone's like, oh, I didn't even check my phone. And that's the magic you want is like, I'm not checking my phone.
So everything we've just laid out here, from the group size number to the times the reservations are being made, the messaging cadence, to all of the other big and small decisions you've made with dinner, walk me through how you arrived at some of these conclusions that this is how dinner should work.
Can I answer this?
Please.
Yeah, I think there's a couple things that you can see in our app that happen in Downton Abbey. So in olden times, people would start in one room. So you'd start in like some receiving room and you'd have like a cocktail or some wine and you'd talk to the governor or whatever. And then you'd say, should we go through? And then you go through to the next room, which may be where you're having dinner. It may not be. And then you have dinner. And then after dinner, you go through to the after dinner area. So there's something that happens, and there's actually a lot of research on this, is something that happens when you change sceneries with somebody that makes you feel like you're spending way more time together. Anybody who's gone on a really long hike, you have felt this as well. So we think that creates this social, it's like a catalyst to making whatever social reactions are happening way more strong. So that's one reason. Another reason is it follows a typical pattern that you would follow anyways. Like you go to a restaurant, hey, let's go to a bar later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're also
one more.
Oh, please.
So the last one is the matchmaking. I mean, if you've seen Pride and Prejudice, there's a funny line in there where she's like, Mr. Collins, you can't sit next to a wife. Move. But what's happening there is the person who hosts the dinner party takes responsibility to take the decision away from you because it's stressful. The tradition of like telling people where to sit, it takes the stress off of your shoulders and says, no, I think you should sit next to this person. And again, there you go. Like you're basically taking the stress away of trying to like, okay, I want to talk to somebody. It's like, well, here you go. You're going to talk to this person. So all of these things together, we think just creates like, just takes all the stress away, the social tension of like breaking through. And
I'll add protecting people from themselves, because when you're in it, we notice this in meetups, and like I know how to work a room. I know how to network. When you're in a room full of 30 people, you kind of just feel like you have to talk to every single person. But the event's, 90 minutes long, divided by 30 people, it's like 3 minutes each. And you're just never going to like get anywhere. And it's just like, quick elevator pitches like, oh yeah, this is what I would do for work. And then you move on. But when you are forced to sit down with 6 people that you believe you're meant to meet, and we believe you're meant to meet because we've tried our best to match you up, and you're spending 90 minutes with 5 other people, and 6 is this like perfect size because it feels like there's enough dynamic energy at the table, but it's small enough that one conversation at a time can happen. As soon as you go to 8 people, then you start having 2 or 3 separate conversations at the dinner table. But if you stick to 6, it's usually about one conversation at a time. Sometimes there'll be a little break off and then you come back together. So we're kind of like protecting people from themselves by like not putting them in a group of 30 people. Or in the case, we do put 30, like a lot of people together at the bar after, but now you've met your 5 friends and you kind of roll up to the bar with like a little bit of a posse or like a tribe. And now you're more likely to go because you don't feel like you're entering this room of 30 people alone. Now you have like a group. So we're just kind of like using like normal human psychology and just kind of protecting people from themselves because they don't always make the best decisions. The wisdom of the crowds don't always make the best decision for themselves. And so we're saying, nope, this is how you're going to build deeper connection. This is how you're going to actually get to know people.
And this matchmaking, that's such a key component of it. Ryan, take me inside that and how that works.
Yeah, I mean, there's really basic thing. There's things we have to get right? Like otherwise it's going to be a terrible experience. Like absolutely 100%. If you miss this, it's like you're going to ruin someone's night. So if someone has a shellfish allergy and you send them to Martingale Wharf, you could kill them. So things like allergies and budget.
Yeah, we don't want to get someone in over their skis and send them to a place that's too expensive.
Yeah, and that's one thing. Obviously, you guys have, if you're listening to this, you've answered a lot of the questions. There's quite a few questions in there.
Right. There's a questionnaire that people fill out in order to get the right to sit at a dinner table.
Exactly. And based on how the community owner wants to curate their community. So some communities, they want, the dating vibe to be welcomed. We actually have a community that's like, no, I specifically I want to make sure people are not coming to this community to date people. So that changes certain questionnaires. So you end up with this large list of constraints, basically. You end up with like 5 to 10 constraints, and anybody who has gotten married or has gone to a wedding or heard about a seating chart. I mean, it is what they call an NP hard problem, meaning there's no mathematically optimal, provable, universal solution for this.
You're always going to be making compromises or sacrifices. It's like, well, this person doesn't like this person. And
that's the interesting thing. It sounds like compromises, but it's also an extremely high dimensional space. A chessboard, for example, there are more combinations on a chessboard than there are atoms in the universe. That's crazy.
What?
Yes.
My little nerd.
It might be stars in the universe, but you get the point.
It's stars in the universe, I'm pretty sure.
So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things we use. I would bore you if I got into too much of the detail, but
basically what people are experiencing in the app, the email, the SMS telling them where to go to dinner, that is just like, 5% of the app. This is like a data science.
Handling cancellations is interesting too. Like, there's all sorts of problems that are similar to like Uber's problems, like arrival problems. Is this person going to show up? Whenever you order an Uber always has a degree of belief that you're actually going to cancel that. They already know in advance your probability of canceling. We do some things with respect to that, like based on how you respond or when you open your email, we can tell like, oh, you're not going to show up. So we're going to actually schedule, like if your show up rate was like 5% chance you're going to show up, then probably we just will fill an extra seat at your table to make sure that somebody actually shows up.
Really crappy experience if someone doesn't show up. So the table is 6. Even if one person doesn't show up, you don't know if they're just late or if they're not going to show up. So then you tell the waiter, okay, we're going to wait to put our order in.
Right, because you don't know who you're dining with until you show up.
Exactly. And so even if one person at the table doesn't show up, and it happens, but now if 2 people don't, it's just a crappy experience for the people that are there, especially because you come in to this dinner club expecting to meet 5 other people. And now I'm only meeting 3 other people or 4 other people. Even if you would have had a lovely time, there's a gap of expectation and experience. And we just want to have no gap. And then we haven't even talked about like the restaurants not taking reservations. So like
that's fun.
In Portsmouth, a lot of places do, but in Dover and Kittery Forsyth, like Anju doesn't take reservations or, so now you're dealing with, okay, I'd really love for them to be here, but like they're not taking reservations. So now I have to call the restaurant and take the time to be like, could you please? Which, as a business, like as we're trying to build out a platform like that doesn't scale.
But what does scale is once you get to a larger as your community grows, then you call these guys up and you're like one of our communities is really large right now. And when I call a restaurant, I'm like, hey, I got 3 tables. What do you want to do?
How many you want?
Like, and then it just flips the conversation. They're like, oh, I'm like, I can give you 2 if I can have the reservations at 7. Because sometimes restaurants will be like, oh, we're not free at 7. I'm like, yeah, what if I'm sending 3 tables to you?
3 tables of 6, that's 18 people.
Right.
It kind of changes the
and then
sales
similar
discussion.
with the bars. So everyone converges on the after party bar. And like in Greenville, one of the bars was like, oh, well, since it's more than a party of 25 people, we're going to have you sign this contract and there's going to be a food and beverage minimum. And then we were just like, oh no, would you or would you not like 125 people to come buy drinks? And it's like, sorry, we're not signing. You kind of you kind of start getting like now you kind of are holding the cards.
Right.
It's interesting.
Ooh, which is such a fun position for you to be in after taking throat punches.
But we're not being mean.
No, but we're just like, hey, do you want these customers or not? Like we're, all we have to do is send a text and 125 people are coming. Do you want them to come? Staff it accordingly.
Ryan, after spending so much time working on a product that just wasn't working, and now to have this thing, and we'll talk about the expansion of it in a moment, but just now to have this thing that you can observe in real time working that has real legs to it. What is it like to see the magic happening and know that we got something here?
I think Mark Andreessen said something like everybody's always talking about what is product market fit? How do you know you have it? Well, obviously, if you're making money, you obviously have product market fit. But another way is your widgets that you're cranking off of your line. If you just cannot keep up, you might have product market fit. And right now, that's kind of how I feel. I feel like we're not keeping up. We have to figure out how to scale this thing.
Yeah, that's what that feels like. Product market fit is a very famous term in startups, but it means the product works for the market. The market likes the product that in the packaging and the pricing and the delivery that you have created, like the iPhone, instant product market fit. Some products don't have instant product market fit. They kind of stumble for years and years, and then they change something and then it takes off. Instagram is a good example of that. They used to be called Bourbon, and they weren't a photo sharing app. They were a photo editing kind of app.
I didn't know that.
And yeah, it's just like things kind of, some things have instant product market fit. Facebook had instant product market fit. YouTube, I mean, they were just like grinding for a really long time with high hosting expenses before they took off. So this product market fit is when you have the Wright brothers, when they just got liftoff and the plane's starting to fly. And so for us to go from I'm emailing 100 people in a week and I'm getting 3 sales calls out of that, and then no one closes, to we actually soft launched last week, so last Tuesday, and I didn't even say, hey, new product, new way to make money, buy it here. I just said, meet Troy. He's bringing his community together.
There was an article written on Substack.
There's an article about Troy. We hired a journalist out of London to interview you, and she kind of wrote this story. And I launched it on Substack, which, granted has 25,000 subscribers, because I kind of brought them all for my, as I've been building up River, I've been building up the newsletter. And it's kind of just talks about community and IRL things, but this was not a product launch. It was just an editorial story about you. And as you read the article, it kind of unfolded that one of the ways you're bringing your community together is this dinner club platform. Well, go ahead.
So how many people did that hit and how many reached out to you?
So it went out to 25,000 people. Not everyone opens the email, but I basically had 11 meetings last week and 11 new customers.
That's incredible.
Insane.
To go from, emailing hundreds of people, getting 3 meetings and maybe getting 1 customer, maybe, to like sending 1 email, getting like more sales calls than I can handle. Like I was like 9 p.m. sales calls, Saturday sales calls, like every night. Sometimes I like to, at the end of the day, like sit at my piano and like sing a song. I couldn't. I had no voice. Like I'm just like, oh no, I have a marathon of sales calls tomorrow so I can't even speak to you. Like we just have to like watch TV or something because I need to save my voice for the next day of sales meetings. So it's just like insane flip.
Everyone who has expressed an interest in learning more about dinner is pretty much an easy conversion once they learn about it.
Yeah. I mean, I think maybe 1 or 2 people, like, they have 35 Instagram followers and it's like, sorry, I can't help you. But there's no one who's like a good fit for us that doesn't want to do it. Like they literally all want to do it. I've never seen anything like it. Not just the companies I've been building, but like I've worked at other startups. It's insane. Like I hope we can keep this energy going.
Now, we failed to mention, we said that the river idea was great. The business model was not.
Yeah.
The dinner idea is great. What is the business model?
The business model is you're this creator. You're a nexus of sorts. A nexus meaning like you're like the central point that everybody is connected to through your content. And that means you're at the center of this giant network. And if your network, if your people that follow you, if there's any remote interest in meeting each other, you're monetizing that, basically. You're saying, I'm going to make it possible for you. I will make a personalized introduction, essentially, to you, to 5 other people. I'll curate the tabletop and I'll make the reservation for you. You just have to pay me $16 and I'll make that introduction for you.
So simply, we call it success-based pricing, which means you're paying for Netflix every month. That's a subscription fee. So you're paying the same amount of money every month, no matter how much you use it. In this case, we don't charge the creators any upfront money. There's no minimum. It's just that whatever they sell for their dinner tickets, which most communities are selecting $16, we take 30% of that. And so it's like, if you make money, we make money. And then if you sell dinner tickets, we're on the hook to match those people and make the dinner reservations and send out all the comms for you.
So dinner attendee pays a $16 booking fee to get the seat at dinner, to have the matchmaking done for them and everything else done for them. And the creator actually takes that money and you guys take 30% of that.
Yeah. So basically You would get $12, we would get $4, basically is like the nut of it. And then, we just kind of take the 30% off the top and then we send the rest to the creator's bank account every day, every week, whatever they select their payment schedule.
Which, as a creator who's trying to make it as a full-time creator, is such a cool way to monetize the audience, the community that is growing. What a fun way to make money, bringing people together, strangers together, watching magic unfold. And also it's been a cool backdoor way for me to bring people into the Seacoast Stories family who otherwise didn't know about Seacoast Stories. Maybe they see a post about Seacoast Stories Dinner Club, a friend sends it to them, a friend tells them about Dinner Club, but they don't realize, oh wait, this is a podcast. There's a whole other part of this that exists that I didn't realize. I went to this dinner club. It was special. Wait, now I want to listen to this podcast.
Yes.
I want to learn more about this, which is very cool for me.
I mean, at dinner, people hadn't listened to the first podcast episode that we all did together. And I was like, oh yeah, we already kind of like told the whole story on this episode. And they're like, oh my God, I gotta go listen to it, Or me saying, actually, my husband was just on the masculinity podcast. I thought it was really interesting. I think it's worth listening to. Turns out it was your number 2 episode so far this year.
Yes.
So it is like you're getting new followers, kind of people who aren't necessarily like seeking out, a Seacoast Stories podcast. They're not like, they don't know to look for it on Spotify, or they might not know to look for it on Instagram, but then a friend tells them about the dinner club and they learn about it that way. It's also like an interesting monetization for you or for other creators, because like, if you listen to a lot of podcasts like Lex Friedman or some of these bigger, Andrew Huberman, they're all promoting AG1.
Mm-hmm. Athletic Greens, baby.
And like, sure,
Had
it's
mine this morning.
Had a good.
Just kidding.
I'm sure it's a fine product, but like, do all of these creators really care that much about AG1? Or is it just they have this, or does
every day?
Or is it just that AG1 has this like very aggressive podcast sponsoring strategy? But like, what if you are like a creator that talks about minimalism, like how are you going to monetize? Or, if you're always beholden to like these products that you don't necessarily care about, but that's your only way of monetizing, really it's like product placements, presented by sponsors, merch. And now we have this whole other revenue line, Dinner Club. And by the way, it supports local restaurants.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like an incredible...
It checks all the boxes.
Yeah.
I guess for me, I think one other interesting thing is that you're a creator. Okay, great. It's awesome. But you're also creating a community. Like, you're filling this gap that's kind of... I think we used to have... I don't want to say what I think... Like, I don't want to like constrain you or put you in a box or something. But for me, you kind of feel like you're solving, at least in part, this job of what newspapers used to solve. And newspapers were very community oriented. I mean, you're like, oh, look, Joey's in the local newspaper throwing a Frisbee or something. So to me, it's like inseparable. You are creating community and those people are going to remain diehard fans. Yeah.
People forget what you say, but they don't forget how you made them feel. Just this morning, I was at a networking thing and Katie Grimes, who was a recent guest on the podcast, told me that she had gone to La Melita coffee shop a few days ago and that the owner of the coffee shop, Max, who was also on the podcast earlier this year, had never spoken to Katie before. It says, "Hey, Katie, I heard you on Troy's podcast this week. Great job." And it's just like, I live for that.
Yes.
People learn about someone else in the community on the podcast. Maybe they've had their eye on for a while, or they say to themselves, gosh, that person seems so cool. I want to talk to them, but they don't know how to take that step to maybe get out of your comfort zone. And then the podcast becomes a way into a conversation with that person, and then they end up talking about something completely different, which is great. And Dinner Club is a good way for that to materialize as well.
Yeah, and I've met people that are like really valuable to my network. We were at the Dover Dinner Club, and I met Art and Jenn.
Love them.
They like have a financial practice in the Seacoast. They invited us out to dinner with them at the 100 Club. Then I invited him to one of our tech meetups. And then I think he's having one of our tech meetups at the 100 Club. And then I invited him to our Christmas party. And it's like, this was just like, he saw us on the live pod, followed me on Instagram. I was following you around to say hi to the tables. He's like, oh, hey, Rae. And I was like, oh, do we know each other? And he's like, well, basically, and like now I feel like we're fast friends, and it's just like so cool.
Yeah.
These are people I need to know and I want to know, but it's just, how do you find them?
Well, we'll be doing this again in 2 weeks, Wednesday, October 15th, 7 p.m. We're going to downtown Exeter. It's our fourth one. And honestly, it's shaping up to be our most attended so far, but let's add as many cooks to the kitchen as we can. No pun intended. Rae, I've heard from a lot of people who've told me they really want to go to Dinner Club. They love the concept, but they're just scared to go out to dinner with strangers. So what would you say to convince those people to get over the hump and give it a try?
Occam's razor.
Classic. Occam's.
Occam's
right?
razor.
Occam's? Okay.
Oh, really? Is it Occam's?
Shit.
It's
I think
got
it is.
two C's.
Occam's.
Something like Occam's
Occam.
razor, something like that. Okay. So in your life, if you are trying to build a rich life, and that doesn't necessarily mean money, but connections, purpose in what you're building, friends, lovers, you need to optimize for serendipity in your life. And so Occam's razor, I'm not sure which one it's called, says if you're faced with two choices, choose the one that will optimize or increase serendipity. So if I have a choice of going out to dinner with strangers or staying home and watching Netflix, I know exactly what is going to happen if I stay home and watch Netflix. I'm just going to like watch this TV show and scroll through Twitter. But if I go to this dinner club, true, something epic might not happen, but something epic might happen. And so I would just encourage everyone to like embrace your humanity, building community, try to optimize for serendipity. Sure, might be a few minutes of awkwardness, but just be rest assured that no one else, like everyone else is in the same boat as you, and everyone is eager to meet you and to meet other people. And you just never know. Like I could never, I wasn't even at the dinner club, and I met Art, and then like these 6 other things have happened since then. And so, yeah, I would just say like optimize for serendipity and just know that everyone else that's going is in the same headspace as you. It's like, maybe, let me see what happens.
Wednesday the 15th in Exeter. You can sign up by clicking the link in the show notes. Ryan, unfortunately, I don't have you guys all to myself. Well, unfortunately for me, fortunately for you, this thing has really taken off in the only couple months that it has been around. Who else are you working with? Where else are you working?
There's a group in Greenville called Local. It's Local Greenville, the Local Greenville on Instagram, and the dinner page
GVL
is
Dinner Club?
Yeah,
those lunatics are sending like over 200 people to dinner every month.
240 this last one.
And it's only their second dinner.
Yeah.
Waco, Texas. There's a newsletter in Waco, Texas. There's a group in the Catskills of New York. There's like a sports podcast out of Dallas for like a hockey team. They're going to try it out. Founder Fridays is like our first kind of multi-city community. Denver, Colorado, Orlando. Denver curated. Yeah, he's got like a text group of like 20,000 people. He sends like a mini text newsletter of like what to do in town. Orlando Signal, they're launching. They're in Orlando. Yeah, it's like insane how many like places. And none of these are like major metropolitan hubs. It's not like, it is, we did have someone launch in LA, but I would say it's interesting because we didn't know who would want this. You just kind of put it out there but it turns out it's a ton of people like you who have this like extremely hyper local community or newsletter where, for example, like 7,000 Instagram followers, on the global stage of influencers compared to people who have millions of followers might not sound like that much. But even like Mr. Beast probably doesn't have 7,000 subscribers in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. You know what I'm saying? Like when it's extremely geolocated and hyper local, the number is like very potent, even if it's like not 1 million followers. It's really nice, like helping them. Like they're just good people. They care about their community. They're looking for ways to bring people together. It's totally different than like working with some big, rich conglomerate that's like already crushing it.
Which we would also work with.
Which we would, which we would also take.
I'm Mr. Caveat Emptor over here. Excuse me.
Why will this work, Ryan?
This will work because going back to the Nexus example, this will work because everybody who's creating a community, which is every single creator on the planet, they don't know it. If they don't say they're creating a community, they just don't know it. They are creating a community. Everybody who's a creator can use this. So I think this will succeed because people want connection. They don't want to just consume art or media just alone.
And just digitally. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how big it gets. I think it's $1 billion company.
Really?
Right here in Portsmouth.
Easily.
$1 billion.
The dinner club market, without any pretense, the dinner club market, I believe, is like probably 50 million a year. That's just with zero pretense, just sending people to dinner. But I think when you put it in creators' hands, you say, you can have a dinner club. Here's the engine. Throw it in your car. I think that market 10x's or 100x's. I think this thing is going to be huge.
Yeah, I actually put my hat in the ring for Launch New Hampshire, which is a startup pitch event that's hosted in Concord. I don't know if I'm going to make the final cut because only 10 people make it on stage. I was like literally whipping together like a fundraising pitch deck for this, even though don't even think I'm fundraising, or maybe we are, or maybe we aren't. But I was just putting together the market size. And it's basically sitting at the intersection of 3 huge markets. So we spend $1 trillion a year going out to eat. We spend $1 trillion a year on social experiences, like going out golfing, going bowling, like doing things. And then the creator economy, like platforms that are giving tools for creators, is a $480 billion market. And we sit right in the middle of all 3. So we don't actually have to win that much of the market to have an extremely viable business. And so I hope the next time we check in, we've surpassed this, but our goal is to send 20,000 people to dinner every month so that we as a business can break even and everyone can eat.
And then 2 million and then 20 million. It'll be fun.
It will. Buckle up, buttercups.
And on the tech side, this is scalable?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I would say it's probably similar to like Uber in its complexity, except we're not real time. Yeah. Simpler than Uber. But yeah.
$1 billion company.
Right here in Portsmouth.
In the West End of Portsmouth.
There's actually a lot of startups and tech founders here in Portsmouth.
Yeah, talk to me about some of them.
I don't think people realize, because so Ryan and I have lived in San Francisco, New York, Miami. We spent a lot of time in Portugal, which is kind of like a digital nomad hub. And we spent a lot of time in Mexico City. Whenever I'm on a video call, and people are gabbing about wherever they are, I'm like, oh, I'm in Portsmouth. And I own that I'm in Portsmouth. I put it in my LinkedIn bio. I'm not doing any of this greater Boston bullshit. It's right there in my Twitter. It's right there in my LinkedIn. I am making Portsmouth a thing. And incredible amount of founders who are here. And, they've, after COVID, things kind of got remote and people could have started to realize that, they don't have to live in San Francisco and they don't have to live in New York. They don't even have to live in downtown Boston anymore to build a viable business and be connected. And a ton of people have chosen New Hampshire because of its tax incentives. People like the policies, a little more libertarian policies. And then it's beautiful. Portsmouth is right on the ocean. It's, an hour and 15 minutes to Boston. It's an hour and a half to the mountains. You go north to Portland. It's just brilliantly located. And then it has this, actually, sometimes I just don't even want to tell people about Portsmouth, but since this is a Portsmouth podcast, it sucks here.
It's so bad.
But here's a small vignette for you. We were just in LA for 10 days for a summit, a conference we go to every year, and it's based in downtown LA. Absolute shithole. Yeah. People in suits shooting heroin into their toes because they still are going to work and they still manage to keep it together. But how long is that going to last? Just litter, poop on the sidewalks. Well, right before we went on this big trip, so we went to Greenville to help launch. Then we went to San Francisco to see a friend. And then we went to this 10-day, we were in LA for 10 days. So we were gone for 3 weeks. Right before we left, I went to Lil's early in the morning with my laptop to eat my breakfast and do some work. Ryan rode his folding bike to come meet me. Then we have somewhere to go. He's supposed to put the folding bike in the trunk of the car and then we drive off, but he forgot it. We forgot it. We were literally gone for 3 weeks. We come back. We're going with you into the Downtown Kittery Dinner Club. Ryan's walking around with you, filming. And he's like, oh, there's my bike. I left it there 3 weeks ago, unlocked. It's just sitting there for 3 weeks, unlocked. Yeah. And I was just like, I love this town.
Somebody actually clearly repositioned it so that it wouldn't fall too, which I just loved. Because somebody did move it, but it wasn't to steal it. It was to take care of it.
And it's just I love this place. So yeah, I'm always torn because it's a really beautiful, dynamic, interesting place, but I don't necessarily need anyone else to know about it.
Yeah. But there are some big deal tech people here?
There are, yeah. So we have some really interesting exited founders. Jeremy Hitchcock sold Dine, DNS for $800 million. He's in the New Hampshire, Portsmouth area. Alex Karp, who's the founder of Palantir, he lives in New Hampshire. I don't think he's hanging out in downtown Portsmouth per se, but there's actually a company sold their business to crypto.com. They live in my building. I met them because I was digging through the trash in the lobby, looking for a check. So there's actually some really interesting, dynamic people here who are invested in Portsmouth particular. We could all live somewhere else, but we're oh, hell no, we won't go. We just want to live here. We're just not going to wait. Yeah. So we made it happen. We're not retired by any means, but we're here. Building here in Portsmouth.
Yeah. As I said on last week's episode with the owner of C&J Bus Lines, when I'm on that C&J and I pull in back from a trip to Miami or New York City or wherever, breath of fresh air as I come back and see that Seacoast sunsets. All is right in the world.
Yeah. And there's so much, we were at Anja the other night for ramen, talking to the staff, and it's this place would crush in Manhattan. Mm-hmm. It is that good of ramen, and it's right here in our downtown Kittery, or yeah, we just have so much to offer. So anyway, don't come.
Don't come to Portsmouth.
The Seacoast is truly an American hidden gem, and you two are hidden gems of the Seacoast, but maybe not for long when your $1 billion net worth, is being flashed up on the internet. Thank you both for joining me. Ryan, the 4th time. Rae, the 3rd time. I think you're second.
You're in
second place. Yeah, Rae and I are going to have a podcast without you soon.
That's right.
Could you imagine? Thank you for everything you do, for being so lovely to work with on Dinner Club, and for presenting me with a really cool opportunity that I can't wait until you guys forget about me.
No,
because you
can
have
never
so many
forget
other
the
things
first.
going on. You guys know the deal. We have one final question. We ask the same final question at the end of every episode every week, and it's brought to you by our dear friend David Higgins, a Portsmouth resident and investment advisor. As he grows his local business, he is proud to support ours. To work with David directly to level up your investment game, to send him an email at the address you can find in the show notes. Ryan, we'll start with you. If you were to leave this earth tomorrow, what would you want people to remember about you?
That I was authentic with them, that nothing was unsaid, and that they felt that they. Let me answer that again.
The last final question last year, you fumbled as well. Come on, get it right with your final questions.
Yeah, I really value authenticity. So I really, that they feel like that it's sad that I'm not around, but there was no like missing. That's a shit answer, isn't it?
It's not great.
Yeah.
It's not great. I think
Rae, save him.
I think I missed that we have a new question of the year because I was expecting the other question. I was like, easy. But yeah, I think being remembered for someone who gives more than they takes, I think building a tech company or like being successful on the outside, like, no one's really remembering that. But like in our dance community, we're just like showing up as much as we can, giving as much as we can, and trying to help some people along the way. And I think for us, it looks a little different than average people because we have chosen not to have children. But that doesn't mean we don't care about being nurturing, but we are just more nurturing to like adults and like the wider community, not necessarily like raising our own small children. And so I'm always flattered when like if someone's getting divorced and they come to stay with Ryan and Rae because it just is like a peaceful place that they can regroup. And so I think adults need lots of nurturing too, not just children. So maybe people remember us for that.
Well, you gave me pomegranate juice. I feel very nurtured. You guys always have a lovely spread when I come over.
Everybody's got to eat.
Yes. And if my life comes crashing down, I know I will spend the night on your floor at some point. So
text anytime.
Yes.
Call anytime.
Thank you both so much. And I look forward to talking to you soon when you have 2 million monthly dinner attendees.
Hell yeah. We love you, Troy. Thanks for having us.
Love you guys too.
Love you, Troy.
That's Rae and Ryan Lamberts, the co-founders of Dinner and my partners in Seacoast Stories Dinner Club. To join us and dozens of other listeners for dinner in Exeter on Wednesday the 15th, you can book your seat by clicking the link in these show notes. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please send it to a friend. And if you see me around town this week, perhaps at La Mulita Coffee, Prescott Park, or the Live Freely Market, please stop me and say hi. I would love to hear your story. Have a great week, everybody. I'll talk to you soon. Live free or die.